This is Quiet Conversations with Zethu Gqola. On this episode, I speak to an incredible Afro-folk artist from South Africa. And to be honest, I don't really know if there are more than 5 Afro-folk artists in South Africa. But this one is really amazing, and he's one of my favorites. His EP, Isitifiketi, is something I listen to every single day, exactly on my routine. After I drop my kids at school, and I buy my coffee, and I go for a walk along the beach, I am listening to this EP. It is going to be on my top 5 Spotify most streamed EPs of 2025. I am so happy to introduce you to the incredible Jabulile Majola, who goes by Jabulile Majola as your stage name. How are you?
I am doing very well, thank you. How are you?
You channeled your gentleness into this. You're in your podcast zone.
I'm in my podcast era.
Yeah. You're going on tour tomorrow, your first ever tour.
Yeah.
That is sold out. Are you
Very
excited?
excited. I'm already tired. I don't know from what, but yeah, I'm very excited.
Maybe it's the anticipation.
Yeah, I think, it's also the nerves. You know, when people have bought the tickets now, okay, now
Yes.
you must deliver. Yeah, I'm in that space
I find
now.
that fascinating because you're a person who performs quite regularly.
Yeah, but I think, every occasion is different, you know. I'm very excited. I'm nervous, but then there's also that thing, like that, a sense of pressure of like, okay, now I need to really, give people what they've expected. The pressure is not to try and like go over and beyond to sort of satisfy each and every single desire that I don't even know about. But I think it's just to make sure that you honor the fact that people have showed up, you know.
As your first ever tour, what has been the most stressful planning aspect?
I haven't been stressed about this. The only thing that I've been stressed about is making sure it happens. Like, no, and I'll tell you why. When I launched Isitifiketi, I did 3 shows in 3 different cities. I did one in Johannesburg, I did one in Durban, and I did one in Cape Town. And when I came back, I told Danilo, my manager, I was like, yo, we are not shooting any documentary. We're not doing any online stuff. We're not promoting this thing online. We need to take it on the road. And the reason why that happened is because I noticed there was a lot of people that were coming from the outskirts of a city. Oh no, I'm coming from Greytown. Someone was in Joburg coming from Greytown. That's my hometown.
Wow.
And someone was in Durban coming from a neighboring town and whatnot. And I was like, why
People
don't
are
we...
touring for you.
You understand? I'm like, why can't we do that? You know what I'm saying? Take the music to the people, take the hope to the people. And so, and my father was an evangelist, and so he used to take the gospel to the people. So I'm like, why don't we actually go there? And so that's how I wanted it to happen. And so I wasn't, it's something that was very, I don't know, deliberate.
Okay.
I expected it to happen. You know?
Yeah. And it's just gonna be you and your guitar against the world.
Yeah.
Have you thought about the outfits? I wonder what goes through someone's mind when they're gonna do their first official national tour. Is like outfits something you care about, or you just like, as long as I show up?
As long as it's clean. I'm joking. I haven't really thought about outfits. So the whole plan.
I know this is probably the last question you thought you would have today.
Exactly.
Your tour outfits.
Exactly. But the thing is, my whole approach at this point as a Jabulile Majola with Isitifiketi has been deliberately to go against that, not against that, but like go away from that. The whole idea of, okay, it must be an outfit.
But have you not seen like how you have a distinctive style though that you bring to the stage?
So I haven't really noticed it, but I think moving away from that, because sometimes, you know, like it's a whole thing of a cover up to some degree, even with the way in which I approached TikTok, because that's where most of it started.
Magic started. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But like, I remember I used to always go for those random moments where I'm not even really thinking about it, you know. Sometimes I'd be in the bathroom and be like, okay, let me do a video now, and let me not color grade it. Let me not mic it up. Let me not do anything. Let's just do it as it is and
I
see
think
if
that's
people
how
can
so many
receive
people
it.
got connected with you in the
Yeah.
beginning. The fact that you brought so much authenticity of yourself, unfiltered, unedited,
Yeah.
it made it so much easier to connect with you, which is really
Definitely.
cool. I want to jump now to what this podcast is about.
Amazing.
Which is music and music people. So your EP cover for Isitifiketi,
Yeah.
where is that? Is that somewhere anywhere near where you're from? Did you find some random buildings that suited the vibe?
I wish it was somewhere where I was from.
Okay.
But now the crazy thing is that it's in Makassar. A Muslim lady owns this farm.
What's Makassar now?
Makassar is it's like Somerset. Makassar is like a town close
Makassar?
to Makassar, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
The way you said it, I thought.
No. Not Emakaza.
Okay.
Emakaza is like Kailicha
Yes,
side.
yes.
No, but
Okay.
Makassar is I think like
the
it's a
gentrified
colored
version.
No. It's the colored community, a little farm town-ish community, just
Okay,
close
so
to.
it was just a location
yes,
that looked
exactly.
good.
But now the thing is, you see that stable, it's like that long building. It's actually a
Yes.
stable, and when I was growing up, we had a stable that looked exactly like that.
it.
And so I really liked
Fascinating.
the fact that it was broken down. There was a sense of how it was trapped in that time that I remember, at least. And then we took a lot of pictures in the different spots and whatnot. And then I saw this stable, and then I told Andy, okay, I'm going to run across this. I think I ran like 10 times.
That was going to be
Trying to
my
catch
next
the
question.
shot.
Like, did
Yeah.
did you think of running from the get-go?
Thank God that it was taken from so far, because I was sweating. Yeah. So I think I ran across a couple of times. I just knew like there was something about this picture. I think the whole thing that I was trying to capture within the whole photo shoot, it wasn't just for that shot. There was this childlikeness in these places that are very familiar to me as far
reminiscent
as
of
I
your
was growing
childhood.
up. Even how I was dressed, it was supposed to look either like my school teachers with those old looking, like those cream white shirts and whatnot.
I thought that was just your vibe.
No, it's supposed to capture that
essence
It probably
of-
is my vibe, because I am kind of like that.
It looks like a photograph captured in the 80s, and then you
Yes.
kind of color graded according to 2025, 24.
Yeah, no, we actually took it on film.
Oh, wow.
And that's why I had to run like 10
You
times.
See, I got the eye.
That's why I had to run like 10 times.
Yeah.
Because you only have one shot to actually,
Exactly.
do it right.
Did you
And so, yeah.
always intentionally want to shoot it on film?
For this part, I definitely wanted to shoot it on film, but I like film. I think film is very high risk. That's how
I've
I
never
think
looked
of,
at it that way.
Yeah, it's how I think of what I do. You know what I'm saying? It's high risk in that if you don't catch that shot once, you might never be able to catch it. Imagine trying to catch a bird on film while it's flying.
Wow,
You know what I'm
okay.
saying? You don't have this thing. Okay, I can do another one. And if you develop that picture, it is what it is. You can't really do much to it. And so that was the point of film. And obviously
Okay.
it has that very like timeless grain to it and whatnot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Talking about development, you developed from a rapper
Yeah.
to...
I had to I have to show the people
You are
that
the most
I still can do it.
If I had not read it in previous interviews that you were a rapper once, I'd be like, you're lying.
Yeah, I used to rap.
Did you rap with like wanting to be a successful rapper, or you were rapping out of an interest towards hip hop?
Out of an interest towards hip hop. I also wanted to be a rapper. But now the thing is,
Okay.
I started with singing.
Okay.
Like back in the day, back
Talk me
in the
through
day.
it.
So I think when I was about 6, that's when I realized that I probably love singing. I remember whenever there would be missionaries coming over to our home, grew up in a children's home, I would always be the one who's leading a song and whatnot, sang a lot in church. And then in my primary school, I used to go to this rural school called Halalisani. By the way, on tour, I'm actually going to be performing for some of the kids, which I'm very excited about. We used to run
That's
and
beautiful.
walk to school. And I always used to sing during assembly. Jerusalem. I had like a soprano kind
I'm
of voice.
pretty sure somewhere out there, someone was like, oh, yeah, Papa, hello.
And I was like, my goodness. I was definitely like, I was one of those very hyperactive kids. But I enjoyed leading. You know what I'm saying?
Beautiful.
You know how like there was a few girls that used to also lead, and sometimes the teachers, when no one is leading,
Was
and then
it
the
Battle
teachers
of
would
the
be
Leaders?
like, yeah, no, they who didn't want to lead, and so the teacher
Okay.
would be like, Pindi, lead, and then she's like, "Ugh," and then she starts leading. But for me, I couldn't wait for them to be like, okay, Jabulani, lead, yeah. You know, it was that kind of thing. I was into singing like that. But then in grade 2, I discovered Zola 7. Don't cry. You know,
Wild.
and Zola 7 is rapping Pro Kid, you know, like the Kwaito that we were introduced to in the early 2000s. I was very into that. Then I wanted to rap. Then when I was about 11, I wrote my first rap song, and then I became very obsessed with rap music. You know, Lil Wayne came out and whatnot. Everybody wanna be Lil Wayne. And
I
so for a
Lil
long
Wayne.
time, exactly. So for a long time, I started pursuing a career in rap music. You know, I really wanted to do it. And then in when I was 18, 19, turning 19, I started writing poetry as well. So anything that I had that required writing, I was very into it. And then I think...
Can I stop you for a second? I'm very interested to know someone who was raised in the faith in such... I'm guessing the Christianity is through the roof when missionaries are coming to your house. How did your environment receive you getting into hip-hop? Because the references of hip-hop back then were vulgar.
Exactly.
And against Christian ideals. So even if you're not pursuing, thongs and bitches in your raps, sorry to put it that way, and you were making more, I guess, modest hip-hop to suit your environment. Were you making modest hip-hop? How did the people around you take you taking on hip-hop?
Yeah. So I think for me personally, what I saw within hip-hop was that it was a vehicle for the message that I'd portray. It wasn't necessarily the culture of it.
Okay.
Even though I think as a young man, the culture of hip-hop is something that was super attractive to me, you know. But I think the way in which I made it understandable for my parents, the way in which I made it understandable for the people around me, is the fact that I saw the power of how it can actually carry the message for what you're wanting to say. Because it is a very influential genre. It's a very influential way of expression. And I must say, hip-hop actually helped me a lot in terms of expressing the things that I went through, or things that I felt, or questions that I had, even about my faith. You know, I found myself becoming very into it, in that it caused me to think deeper and deeper about things. And I'll say it like this: now I don't write to rap as much.
Oh, so you secretly are writing raps, but not
as much. But now the thing is, the labor that goes into writing a rap song is
I can imagine.
Another level.
It's an extreme form of lyricism, and the amount of lyrics that have to be in a rap song compared to... I almost compared it to an Afro folk song, but I'm like, oh, you're in hell there, my brother. Compared to like a pop song, is like a third of the quantity is in a pop song, and then like all 3/3 are in a hip hop song. It's just, there's so many words.
Exactly. And I think the labor is very important, and it's amazing. That's what I think what is, I would say, gratifying or fulfilling for a rap artist is to be able to come up with a piece. Because what I noticed is that it's all within the syllables and the rhythm, and in the way you tell the story, and in the way you progress, and all of those things.
Absolutely.
It is super important. And so I think the discipline of songwriting, for me, I got it from rap music. I would never change that. And it's something that I don't really listen to rap music anymore as much as I used to.
It's not the same. Like, it's how... hip-hop today is not bad, but it's not as good as the hip-hop that would have influenced you in the early 2000s to write rap. There was so much wordplay. There was such a higher level of intellectualism in literature and world references that was used in hip-hop back then versus now. Now people can ad-lib their way through a song and not necessarily have something of substance. But to have created rap music at the time that you did, the entire environment around which you created rap, there were more rap battles. There were more drop a hot 16s. There was more on-the-spot creativity that was demanded from the rapper to prove they're a rapper. Now people can rap on TikTok, put it out there via any means, and people be like, "Ooh, the song is a vibe." It's back then it was a vibe, but it's like, okay, but what are they really saying here?
Yeah.
So how do you transition now from hip hop to the next genre that you did?
Yeah. So I'm going to first explain the whole thing of hip hop. What attracted me to people like Pro Kid and Zola 7 is because
Pro Kid
they
was
were coming
incredible.
from the township, and you know this about Ghetto Fabulous and all of those things. Sometimes glamorized what the life of the township, but to us it's something that we were like, wow, this is so cool. But in the way in which they were so proud of who they were and where they came from. And it was very encouraging, actually, you know, to think, oh, someone from this town can do something so massive. That's what
I think it's also like it
caught
was
me about.
in the time that all of those artists started becoming big and prolific in South Africa, these underprivileged communities that they were growing up in weren't viewed as communities with their own economies, their own cultures, their own lifestyles, their own everything, which to those people living in those areas was such a normal everyday thing. So there were people who were balling, who were flexing, who were living a life that didn't necessarily outwardly portray, I'm trying to get out of this situation. It's like, it's hot as hell here. I love it here.
Yeah.
And we're rolling. But yes, continue.
And I mean, and it put a big spotlight in those communities. Everybody want to go to those communities because of these figures, you know. And so that's what attracted me to that way of expression. And so how I moved from rap to folk music is I didn't really start doing folk. I was doing like what I'd call alternative music, all sorts of different things and whatnot. And so what I then did was that I always knew that I could sing. But then when I was a rapper, I was like, no, I'm only rapping and this is what I'm doing and I'm only writing. And then I then picked up the guitar at about the age of 22. I started listening to a lot of Bon Iver. I started listening to a lot of indie music as well, such as The Staves, a lot of different white people that are good at what they do, you know? I mean, so I remember when I picked up the guitar, a friend of mine from church was like, yo, you know how you can learn how to play guitar quickly? You just play your favorite songs. And that's literally what I did. And then for a long time, I was listening to, like, Bon Iver was like one of my favorites. I just really liked how he wrote, you know? And then I tried my hand in songwriting and whatnot. But
how old are you now?
I'm 23, 24.
So you learned how to play the guitar 2 years ago?
No, I'm 30 now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Sorry, I thought...
I'm very flattered.
I was like, wait a minute. I really... Okay.
So I learned how to play guitar.
Because I really, in my mind, you were 30. And then in this part of the story, I'm like, what? Okay, continue.
Now, here's the crazy thing. I will never forget the day I bought my first guitar. It was a Sanchez nylon string guitar. Literally down the road from here, there's a thrift store. I don't know if it still exists. I literally went out of the office. I was working for a non-profit Christian organization at the time. I literally walked out. I'm like, today I'm going to get a guitar. And then I went there and I saw a guitar. He's like, okay, it's 250. Thrifted it. I remember walking home with that guitar. And in my mind, I'm like, please let no stranger stop me and ask me to play. I don't know what I'll be doing there, you know? Because like the culture...
Is that a normal thing that happens?
That's what I know, because my brother used to play guitar. This is how I have a connection with guitar. My brother was amazing at playing at guitar.
Did you ever want him to teach you?
When I was about 13. This is how I didn't even want to try and learn. When I was 13, he was about 15, 16. He was an amazing guitarist. He was the type of person that just picked up the guitar and learned how to play guitar.
Wow.
Good writer. He's just so good at it. And so he tried to teach me the guitar. And I remember he tried to teach me the A chord. I couldn't do it, you know what I'm saying? And I just didn't have the discipline to carry on. But when I picked up the guitar myself, I actually self-taught for the most part. And that was easier for me. The way in which I learn is not necessarily like, okay, I will show you how to do it. There must be something inside of me, or like, I really want to learn, and I'm probably going to do it myself, because I will make my own mistakes, but then I'm also going to come up with my own way of doing it. And so that's how I picked up the guitar, and then I started like playing my favorite songs and whatnot. And then I tried my hand in songwriting, and then slowly but surely it sort of started morphing into something. Then there was a point where I started using a lot of type beats from YouTube. I'll never forget that week. The type beats just get you out of that thing of like, okay, I must compose something first before I write on it. I just come up with any idea and and then I think this folk thing actually came about when I just lost my sister. I think a couple of months later, I wrote my first Zulu song. I hadn't been writing in Zulu for a long time. I think there was always this massive, I think, insecurity in when it comes to my Zuluness. You know what I'm saying? Because I was adopted by white parents, but then yes, we had house mothers that spoke isiZulu, but then when you are trying to find your identity in a world, you don't always feel 100% something, because you know that where you have, you lack as well. And so when I wrote my first song, Bambi Santle Sam, I think it was very I think I overthought most of it, and I remember there's a lot of it that I just sort of forgot about and sang what I really knew. It actually meant something to me. And then from that point, I started really taking that step of faith and actually believing that I can actually writing in isiZulu.
Speaking of singing and writing in isiZulu versus English, you did that collaborative album with Yoav in English. How did that come about? I also think the first show I ever watched of yours was with Yoav at the Star Theatre.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you guys come together? How did you end up at a full-blown album?
Yeah. So Yoav sent me a message the one Sunday. I was coming from church and I saw this message. Hey, my name is Yoav and I work with Greg. Greg is a producer, so I guess he was the connector between us. And so what he was like, I'd like to meet up with you and see if we can come up with something and whatnot. Seemed like a cool dude and whatnot. And then I didn't really think much of it. We met for a coffee. For me, that was a green flag, because I'm like, when you're meeting with someone, especially when it comes to the music thing,
your requirements for not getting kidnapped are really low.
No. The thing is, I've never.
Did you know people that knew him?
Yes, no, I knew Greg Moss.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
so
but
you didn't meet Yoav by yourself?
I met him by myself.
Okay.
But the thing is, the coffee thing is like, I wouldn't want to meet you and then we already recording.
That's
it's just
true.
Weird. Let's okay, what do you like? Let's not talk about music even. I think for me,
if it makes you feel better, I've never interviewed anyone on this podcast that I didn't know before.
Which is amazing. Thank you.
Training wheels first.
Exactly.
Before you go out into the world.
You want to make sure, test the waters.
Exactly. And do we even get along?
Exactly. And so I noticed that at the time we were listening to a lot of things that were similar, you know what I'm saying? The ways in which we were talking as well. And then I was like, okay, let's see what comes out of this. And then Stranger, which was our first single of the project, came out. Oh, wow, this is nice and very vibey and whatnot. And at the time, I was also very into experimenting. I was just doing anything.
Are you
really.
Still into experimenting?
Not as much. Every phase had its own purpose. I think when I was in that space, that's where I could really come up with this sense of identity that I have now, where I just find different things that really appeal to me and just try and find a line of thought or a way of seeing things. And so he caught me in a time where I was really trying to do anything really, and when
anything but hip hop.
Not really, because I was doing hip hop still at the time.
Were you performing the hip hop?
I was performing the hip hop at the time. I think by the time we finished the album, I wasn't doing rap anymore. There was a time I just went to sleep and I woke up and I wasn't doing rap anymore. It just happened like that. I just lost I lost the passion.
To be fair, that's how I've changed careers all my life. I just wake up one day and this is not who I want to be.
Yeah. Funny enough,
even if it means I'm unemployed right now.
Funny enough, I think weeks before that, I literally said, I think when my time is done with hip hop, I'm going to just pack it away and put it back in the freezer. And literally, it just happened. I just didn't have the heart towards it anymore. And mind you, I was very passionate about it.
Wow.
Even with folk music right now, I'm passionate about it. But I know that if that time comes and it's not there anymore, I'm not going to act like it's there. And that's the thing about, with rap music, I could have done it. I had the skill or the discipline to actually do it, but it just wasn't moving me anymore. And so like the experimenting and doing all of these other genres is something that actually was more appealing to me at that time. And I really was working hard. And when I started working on the project with Yoav, that's when I actually lost my sister. And so I just really pushed myself more into it because, I mean, the way in which I was grieving at the time wasn't even healthy for me. I just removed myself from the idea of like, okay, I have to think about this. I have to really feel this. I had to go through this. It's a lot of complications as to where the funeral is going to happen, a memorial service, all sorts of things.
So everything was really big and heavy and too much.
And then I just pushed myself way into it. You know, I was really not in a good space. But I think a lot of good things happened. I'm in a point where I've really like dealt with everything. But like one thing that did help is that there's a point, I believe that there's a point of grief that you can get to where you start not fearing what is going to... It feels like you have nothing to lose.
There comes a time it becomes a part of your identity and it becomes this thing that's a part of you, but not this thing that's in the forefront of you.
Yeah.
You also make a lot of really sad songs.
Yeah, well, it comes from having gone through certain things in my life and having gone through storms. And when I was at that point, I felt like, I can't lose anything now at this point. That's when I started writing this.
Except now you got a wife.
She's everything to lose. So
yeah.
But I think now I'm happy as well. You know what I'm saying? And so now it's weird.
Do you find it difficult to write from a place of happiness when some of your greatest work has come from a place of sadness?
No, actually.
That's amazing. Because there's so many artists who find it harder. I don't want to name drop my friends, shame. They find it so much harder to write the music that they write when they're happy, when so much of it needs to be drawn from a place of like the strongest emotions that they tend to feel, which tends to be not the best place on earth.
Yeah. I found myself last year going through like almost a whole year of not writing anything because I didn't know what to write about. And my resolve or my answer...
Sorry, that's so funny.
My answer...
To know what to write about. It's also very valid as well.
But my answer is to be as real as possible. Because even in the sad moments, I didn't write the sad songs just because I want to feel sad and I want to be the sad guy. It was a way to process things. Because even in the sadness, there was a hope. You know what I'm saying? Nyoniami is a sad song, but there's a hope. And that hope is found in the person being able to relate with you. And I know how that feels, you know. And so there was an intentionality even in that time. Because again, being raised with faith, it's sort of ingrained in you now, but no, it's not going to be like this forever. And so now when I'm in a happy space, I'm not going to try and conjure up a sense of sadness. I'm gonna be real about how I feel.
You've been authentic the whole time, so you want to continue on that.
Yeah, and so the powerful thing now, I didn't write a single song last year because I kept on feeling like, oh flip, I feel like I'm changing. I feel like I shouldn't have even been doing music. There was even that sense of thinking.
It's a great part of your character development.
Yeah.
Also, you're telling me you're 30 now. It's like another coming of age.
Exactly. And so, but the answer that I found in that is that when you just live your life, sometimes you just have to live. When you don't have anything to write about, just live. And that's where the songs are coming and whatnot. Because I think when I was in my sad state, I did understand that when you just live, the songs come. And then you kind of forget it when things change. And I had to just remind myself again, just live and then the songs will come. And now I'm at a point in my life where I'm not trying to write. I'm not living to write. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm just living life and then the songs are coming. Sometimes they leave me. Sometimes they stay. Sometimes I care about them. And yeah.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
So your name is Jabulani Majola and Jabulile Majola was your mom's name.
Yeah.
Were you aware of the similarities in your name for a long time?
I only found out about that when I was 21.
When
21?
you found out about that, was your first instinct to ask if they always knew?
I always knew.
So when you were born and named,
Yes.
were you named Jabulile Majola?
No, I was named Jabulani Majola.
Jabulani, sorry,
Yeah.
Jabulani Majola.
Yes.
Okay, from the moment that you parted ways with your mom.
Yes, from the moment I parted ways
So
with
when
my
your
mom,
family adopted you,
I was Jabulani Majola.
you were okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So now when I found out about that, I had a sense of joy and relief in that there was similarities within our names. It sounded like a commissioning to the world. It was a point of healing in my life because I had been dealing with all these questions. By the way, I've never met her. It's the only thing that I know.
Did
about
you ever
her
try
is,
find her?
from when I knew the name, I tried, but it's not something
It's
that I was.
such a common Zulu combo name as well.
Exactly.
But like on a personal
it's not something
level.
that was inside of me. Okay, I want to know and all of those things.
Yes.
I think at that time it was something that felt like it was enough. You know, sometimes.
Would you say it's the way in which you were raised that even leading up to that point, it felt like it was enough to learn that and not
Yeah.
want to go beyond?
Yeah, because the way in which we were raised, one thing that I do remember having had a conversation with my adoptive mother, I remember her crying the one time we were coming from school. I think we were about 14. I was about 14, grade 8, grade 9. And then she was like, we don't know what happened to your parents and all of those things, and we don't know where they are. But you are young at the time. You don't even understand. You're not even understanding why the lady's crying and whatnot. She's like, I really hope that at some point in your lives you'll be able to forgive them. At the time, I didn't understand the concept of forgiveness. What does it mean? I don't even know you. Why would I forgive you and whatnot?
Yeah.
And then I went through this life of just questioning and wondering certain things and whatnot. And I would say this in my prayers as well. I'd always pray for her, I don't know sometimes why I would pray for her. And then when I found out about the name, it was in that process where I was like, you know what, I am forgiving her. And what forgiveness meant for me in that point was that all the questions that I have, I don't mind them not being answered, and I am willing to let her go. And I'm hoping that she can have a life that is fulfilled, a life that is forgiven.
Yes.
Because I don't think that people get over rejecting someone or just forgetting
The sense of
about
abandonment
something.
is insane.
Exactly. Not just for the abandoned, but the abandoner.
Also, she was 21.
Exactly.
When you were 21, did you think about it again, but this time from where I am at this age, with that thought of, wow, you were this age?
Good. That's a good question, because I was literally getting to that. When I was 21, I didn't have a clue of what was going on in my life. And I was like, oh, you were 21. I understand. There was a massive sense of understanding of like, oh, wow, like your life wasn't, your mind was not made up about life. I think even making a very solid decision at 21 is still way too young.
I look back at 21 and I'm like, that is the age where you should become a legal adult in the legal sense, not 18. Like 21 is when life is so not figured out, but you know enough,
Yeah.
You're not responsible enough either at that age, far from it.
21 was a time in my life where I was very introspective. I was realizing certain things about myself, the way in which I think, the way in which I see things. And I think when I realized that, my forgiveness came from that place of understanding as well. I couldn't have expected you to have known better even in your time. And then I started moving I started moving into life in that way of like removing myself from, oh, I was rejected and I'm abandoned and this is happening. And so when I name myself Jabulile Majola, it has nothing to do with like the sadness about my story, but all to do with
reclaiming
the hope.
the power and the hope of your story.
Yes, and the hope is in the fact that somebody who's named Jabulile names me Jabulani, that
they
Jabulani
wanted to be
is
connected to you forever, to be honest, is how I interpret seeing
a sense of commissioning
like
as well. You know what I'm saying? When it's a sense of passing the baton, as the people would say it.
Thank you for we went we went far there. Thank you for answering those questions. I heard murmurs of working on an album. How are we doing with that?
It's difficult. It's difficult because when you are putting together an album, from having come from like an EP like that, you don't want to sound the same. You don't want to be talking about the same things. You want to show a sense of growth. At least this is how I'm seeing it. But now also you are like a lion in a zoo. When I see it like this, when you are discovering an artist is a lion running all over the place, he's just being a lion. And then when he's in the zoo, caged, people are taking photos of him. Now he must be the lion that people came for. You know what I'm saying?
Being the lion becomes a performance.
Yes. So now I find myself in that space. I think I'm fighting myself in being like, yo, just give them what you believe, who you are, not like what you think they are wanting. Because when people start to tell you, oh wow, I like when you do it like this, then you feel like, oh okay, maybe I must swing it like that, which is never the case, because we don't play for an audience. We're not doing it because we want an audience to feel a certain way. It really comes from what we are feeling and who we are and our experiences.
Is your latest EP your highest streaming body of work?
Yes.
That must add to that pressure of an album. And also you found a lot of success, I'll say very quickly, but we know it's not that quickly.
Yeah.
But in terms of like commercial success of this nature, and a sold out tour in like 2 years is insane.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane, textbook wise. With that said, there are so many people who are discovering you through this EP. Do you also feel in the creation of your album, there's a great deal of this person from this EP that you need to carry through in terms of like having that synonymity of the sound, the acoustic guitar? Are you adding instruments? Like, how big is the change and the challenge?
Yeah. I wouldn't say the change is that big, but the challenge is great. I think it's just, I'm learning to just swim like I've always been swimming. The tides are getting bigger and bigger. The waves are crashing crazier and crazier. But I'm just learning to just continue to do what I've been doing. It's that idea of the small town boy in a big city, and now the lights are catching you and all of these massive noises are happening and whatnot. How do you keep the small town purity vibes in this massive, noisy city and whatnot? And so I'm just learning to I'm learning to start here, because I think when you go out there too quickly, then everything falls apart. And the way in which I approach it is starting here is the song there? If the song is not there, what's the point of adding all these other instruments? And you're just faffing around, as they say. It's not wise, I think. And so I'm learning. I think I'm still approaching things in the same way. I have the guitar, and that's what I'm doing until I add all these other things. But there has to be the song first. If there's no song, there's no point of doing it.
Now that you're someone's husband, are you dipping your feet into love songs?
I never liked writing love songs because everybody and their mama write love songs. But now the thing is, I did write a love song in the form of Wozamdana. I'm definitely writing more love songs, but not. I probably have another love song. Not when I say more love songs, I don't mean like 5 more.
No, I got one more in me, and that's it.
I have one more in me, and that's it. I am writing love songs, but I think it's the perspective that I'm looking for. Where it has to sound
There's
fresh
another way in which love can be viewed from.
Exactly.
That is not so direct.
Yes.
Like you can be behind the door, outside the room, and find a way.
So what I'm fascinated by about love at the moment is the idea of someone being there forever and never leaving. Someone taking care of you and you giving of yourself, not because someone must give. This whole thing of
the selflessness of it.
Yeah, the selflessness of it.
Because saying you love someone, I've always felt is about you and not them.
Exactly. And so Wozamdana had that idea. that love that is not expecting anything, that love that is taking care of you. That there's a sense of eternity about this love, because that kind of love you only show it to a child, because a child is defenseless. They don't really know much of what's going on.
I always thought that song was like a song for your inner child.
That's how it started. That it started with me looking at my friend's daughter, and I started thinking about his relationship with his daughter as
the purest form.
Yes, I'm gonna take care of you. You know who's gonna buy you your food? I'm gonna buy it. You know who's gonna cook for you? I'm gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? It's that. You don't have to do anything for me, because you don't even work. You're not gonna pay me rent. You know what I'm saying? So it was that kind of love, and
that
so I'm
effortless
starting to
labor of love.
Yeah, and then I started to think about it, even in a romantic relationship. That is the standard. That should be the standard in the way in which we view other people, in the way in which we.
I think it always is, and then at some point it changes.
Yeah, I mean it gets corrupted, obviously.
Yeah.
It gets corrupted even by ourselves. Like we can be in a relationship and then the standard, which is, okay, I do it not expecting anything in return. But guess who stands in the way of that? I stand in the way of that, because I'm like, but you're not doing enough for me.
Yeah.
Where's my turn?
Because thief is the comparison of joy,
Exactly.
right? We're witnessing love and relationships and what other people are giving each other that we don't even know on social media. So it's not necessarily the way in which you love that changes. Your emotional and mental demands of the love that you think you deserve then become that forefront of, what am I getting out of this? I'm not getting enough.
Yeah. And the thing is, when you think about it, people are hurt by those they love, or people are hurt by those that love them. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's that thing. What is this love that is hurting them so much? And love does hurt in that sometimes love has to bear the truth and tell you exactly what it is. But love shouldn't hurt you in that it left you, And so my idea of love, the way in which I see it, it's also very much influenced by how I see it in my faith, God being love, God loving us and not keeping any record of wrong and all of those things. It's a very heavy love to practice. It sounds nice in a song, but tell me to practice it at home.
And practice it.
It's something that every single day I must be disciplined and try to learn it, because it's a love also that is not boastful and proud as well. When you get it wrong, most of the time you're like, no, but you also got it. No, but like you have to humble yourself. It's an upside down kind of love, And so that's what I'm fascinated by at the moment, because I'm realizing how much I'm not deserving of that kind of love. You know what I'm saying? When you realize, here's the thing. On the 23rd of June in 2023, I realized how much I did not deserve God's grace, but yet He still gave it to me. When you realize how undeserving of something, and then you get it freely, you will give it to everybody very freely.
That's so
You know
profound.
what I'm saying? And so when I see how I've been loved, it makes me want to love. You must remember, love doesn't come from us. We are channels of it, And so
that's a great
when you get
perspective
something
to
very
have.
freely, something that you don't deserve. And most of us, I think pride is built on that thing of like not understanding there's certain things. Life is not something that we deserve. It's something that we are privileged to have.
That is so crazy, because
Yeah.
I believe like I deserve everything in this world, because to give everything to the people I care about, or even something as small as kindness to strangers, feels like something that they deserve in this world too. I'm going to look into that. Maybe I need to go back to church.
But
I'm not saying that as a joke. I'm saying that like for real.
No, for real. No.
Because what you're saying, I can see and relate to the perspective from when I was like an active Christian.
Yeah.
I would say up until my early 20s. And then after that, it feels like God is less with you day to day when you grow up, depending obviously the circumstances under which you grew up. I also grew up in the church.
Yeah.
My granddad was a pastor. We went to church maybe 4 or 5 times. I was sick. of going to church, but like not in a bad way. It's
you
just
going
we
to
were doing
a 10th Crusade
I
vibes?
was going to the night prayers. I was doing Sunday school. I was
Okay.
doing other things. My granddad would go do things at the church. We were trailing with him every day. I was just like, the day I got out of the church, I was like, I am so free. Well, not that I got out of the church, but the day I was in control of my life enough that I could dictate the terms under which I go to church.
Yeah.
That's when there was a huge distance between me and my faith. And I guess it goes back to that thing of the ego that you mentioned, because it's the ego that could have gotten me to the place where I am, where I believe I deserve all of this.
Yeah.
None of this is like owed to me, but it's more like a why shouldn't I deserve it kind of way. And also having a great sense of independence about just living in the world, where you start to reason outside of your faith. You know, when there was a time I was working 2-3 jobs at the same time in my early 20s. And for me, that felt like I was getting myself this. Like, this isn't some gift from God that got me my 3 jobs. Maybe I prayed for them and eventually at some point they came. But like the work that I had to put into everything, because I guess because of the ego, you forget that it's built under years and foundations of faith and prayer, and ultimately having lived through a lot of scripture and been raised through it.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think I was also always told, no, but everything you get is not, you don't deserve it, and all of those things. But when I speak about the 23rd of June, 2023, I realized it for the first time in my life after a long time. And then I realized how I've stood in front of that knowledge of, you know, there's something about knowing something in your head. Okay, I remember it. But then there's something knowing it and you're like, something in me must change. You start to be the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, when I realized that, there was such a gratitude that I actually still get to be in this world, that I still get to actually experience love and share love. And here's the thing. The problem here is the fact that with that realization, you would think that, okay, now I know it and now I'm living it. The point here is that it actually is more difficult to live like that. You know what I'm saying? Because always you have to realize that you are not the autonomous, I can do all these things and whatnot. It's that ego thing that must die. Some people see it as an ego death and whatnot. Really, when
it's relinquishing control to the heavens, which when you're not a faith practicing person is a ridiculous concept.
Exactly. Because exactly. It's like it's just like walking in the dark and you don't know where you're gonna step. You know what I'm saying?
But I must believe.
But it's the belief. Yeah. So when I had that realization, that's where I was like, oh wow. Again, you grew up in the church, you know about all of these things, but you have to get that realization. Oh, this is what it's about. It was a very interesting time.
So it's like one day everything clicked into place.
Yeah. And then I started...
Did you ever stray from the path of the Lord?
I'd say I did. And in the way in which I think I always strayed when I was growing up, because I didn't have that understanding. You know, like when you grew up in the church, it's like you are God's grandchild.
Yes.
You know how grandchildren can almost get anything from their grandparents. It was like that. The way in which I saw God, I loved him, but I didn't fear him like that. It was like, I'll be a Christian when I'm older. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, I also did not deny his existence, but I also didn't really...
That's fascinating, considering that your dad was a pastor.
Exactly.
But you weren't necessarily practicing all the time?
The thing is, I knew how to live a good life. I knew how to not swear. I knew how to just not
and it
do
wasn't
the
something that was forced
stuff.
upon you.
Yeah, it wasn't. I genuinely, in my heart, good intentions. I had good intentions. I was like, no, I want to.
Sometimes
live
that feels like enough, because having good
Yeah.
intentions is so closely aligned with the word of God.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think is where the complication of the ego comes in, right?
Yeah.
Because if I already live my life so in line with the principles of scripture, but not necessarily practicing, am I really that doomed?
Yeah.
When technically I live and breathe like the Christian I was raised to be, but I'm far from that faith.
Yeah. It makes me think of the story between the rich man and Jesus says, okay, like the guy's like, I followed everything. I followed all the commandments and whatnot. And then Jesus says, okay, sell all your possessions and follow me, or give away your possessions. He didn't even say sell them. That's literally how I was
the
as
confrontation.
well. I'm kind of doing all the right things. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going above what I should. And so I should be fine. And that should give me enough time to make up my mind to follow God and whatnot. And so, but then when I realized that actually it's not, the good is possible to do without God, but it's the surrender that is actually more important. Because when you've surrendered, it's God that actually informs the good. He actually is the one that sort of controls the good that you do. It comes out of him. It comes out of you in that you are now fully. It's like being in a house of darkness and then in a house of light. When you're in the house of light, you're going to see because you're in that house. When you're in the house of darkness, you're not going to see because you're in that house. That was the distinguishing factor. It became more about, okay, if I say I want to be doing good, why not also just embrace the God of doing good? And then that comes out of me. It's a response. It's the response to the love, to the grace, to the mercy that I've received.
And since you did that, do you feel better?
Definitely, because I feel like I'm not trying to do good. I'm not performing. And I'm also noticing the things that I'm doing wrong, but I'm not acting like I didn't do it too. You know what I'm saying? It's acknowledging the fact that, hey, I am still sinful. There's certain things that I'll still do that are not according to the standard of God. But now I'm not. And it's also informed the way in which I know God, because at the time when I just loved him and never feared him or was not surrendered to him, I feared him in the way of like being scared, knowing that I felt judged whenever I did wrong. But now it's in that space of like understanding that he is the one that that has actually given me the grace to actually do good. But then also when I do wrong, I know that I'm forgiven. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I live, you start to live in that space of humility, knowing that I'm not perfect too. There's nothing that I can do out of my own strength and my own willpower. It's all by the providence of his hand.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. You've given me a lot here today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You're an incredibly inspiring person.
Thank you. I do appreciate it.
We're going to call it a day now.
Oh, wow.
I know, right? It's always when the quiet conversation is conversationing the hardest that we're out of time.
Shame. Okay.
But I really appreciate you coming here,
Thank you
opening
for having me.
up to me, giving me perspective about who you are in your life.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful.
Thank you for having me. I do appreciate it. Zethu.
I'm gonna text you after the tour and say, how was the tour?
Come on. Yeah, please. I hope I'm gonna respond.
I hope so too.
I'm anticipating it to be so tiring.
Whenever I'm away from home, whatever I'm doing is so tiring. I cannot keep up with my life, and it takes me at least a month to text everyone back.
Yeah. By the way, I think that's what is making me nervous more than anything. I feel like I'm going to be so tired.
Yeah.
And I don't like to be tired in front of people.
Because you're also going to be carrying a lot of tension that at the time you're not even aware you're carrying the whole time.
Yeah.
Just don't get bubble gum.
What do you mean?
Because you're going to chew, and then the tension stays in your jaw. And then it filters to like your temples, and then it tightens your neck, and then it goes to your shoulders, and then just don't do it.
Why are you telling me this now? I'm joking. I don't like bubble gum like that.
I was giving you really great touring advice.
This is hectic though. Like you're giving me some really serious
because you're already going to have
jewels.
so much tension and nerves from each show. And then you're going to have a sense of like relief, and then it's like on to the next one. And also take a moment to celebrate the shows.
Yeah.
And like,
I'm bad at celebrating.
I know, me too. Once I do something great, I'm like, okay, cool, what's next?
Exactly, yeah. I remember what Danilo once asked me, hey, I see that you don't really like celebrating. And I don't know, I never liked celebrating because I'm like, what if it flops? Or what if this is a very short-lived joy or short-lived moment? But yeah, I'm learning. That's very important. And maybe I should celebrate the fact that the tour is ready and sold out. Because I didn't celebrate that. I'm like, okay, what can I do next?
Yeah.
It's
like the show's sold out. Let us go on the tour now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You're going to be great. You're going to be a star.
Thank you. I do appreciate it.
And I can't wait to see it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this conversation.
This was a great
I
conversation.
feel more
Thank
relaxed
you.
now than I did in the beginning.
We went on an emotional roller
I
coaster.
feel like I slid down
Yeah.
a few more inches.
That makes me happy.
Yeah.
That makes me happy. Have a good
Thank
day.
you. You have a good day too, Zethu.